Donald Trump's closest advisors just let it slip how terrified Donald Trump is of his dark past and the length and efforts to which Donald Trump is trying to cover it up. So today, as Donald Trump meets with Vladimir Putin, according to Donald Trump's former biographer, Michael Wolff, one of the main things that Donald Trump is hoping to accomplish is to, one, have this remove the discussion of Epstein as the top issue that people are talking about, but also number two, to sell out Ukraine to his MAGA base that wants to see Ukraine defeated by Russia in order to give MAGA the win that they want, which is a win for Putin at the expense of Ukraine as a trade-off for Donald Trump covering up the Epstein files. That's how Donald Trump is thinking about it in his sicko mind. But then separately, while that meeting is taking place, Donald Trump is having his cabinet members like Pam Bondi and also some of his top advisors like Kash Patel go out there and then talk about Russia, but in the context of 2016 and how there was all one big massive Russia hoax, even though Donald Trump was out there saying, Russia, if you're listening, hack into the emails of my opponent, because Donald Trump, as part of this plan to kind of further brainwash MAGA and distract them from the fact that they were told they would be getting the Epstein files, or the fact that we were all told that they'll go down this next rabbit hole of getting drip, all of this information about other files that are out there that will result, according to Trump and Bondi, in the prosecutions of the deep state. Former President Obama, Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Clapper, people who were part of the Obama administration and people close to Hillary Clinton. So Donald Trump has Kash Patel. Remember him? Where'd Kash go? Remember when they'd like, where's Hunter? Where's Kash? More importantly, where's Bongino? Where the hell is Bongino? But anyway, Kash Patel goes on state regime media known as Fox. And the language that he's using, and it's very deliberate. This is a brainwashing strategy that they have. And it's also meant to coincide with Donald Trump's meeting with Putin. The language that he uses, you would think he's talking about the Epstein files. We're looking for the files. We're going to be very transparent. We're going to be releasing it. This is the Transparency Act. You're going to get all of this information. But they're talking about like made up documents from 2016 or 2017 that they're saying this was a setup against Donald Trump to overthrow Donald Trump. This was part of a Russia hoax. Watch what Kash Patel says yesterday, and I want you to think about it in the context of what the plan is to cover up Epstein, because all of this is really about covering up Epstein, and Trump's going to give up, is going to throw Ukraine under the bus, which he always wanted to do, especially because Trump doesn't want his connections with Epstein coming out. But here's what Kash Patel says. Play this clip.
Well, Sean, what we're doing is building a case for the American public under the Truth and Transparency and Accountability Initiative. And what I mean by that is AG Bondi brilliantly highlighted our partners, Director Ratcliffe at the CIA and Director Gabbard over at the DNI. We are working with them because the documents that would facilitate an investigation of this magnitude don't just rest at the FBI and DOJ. They're throughout the intelligence community. And we, the Russiagate guys like Johnny Ratcliffe and myself who investigated this and exposed this, are trying to expose documentation that we've known existed for years. At the same time, we're finding new material. So the best approach is to release this information with them and also go to our colleagues in Congress who have an oversight function on the judiciary committees and oversight committees and demand from us information and documentation that we can publicize. Things like the Durham Annex, which we've known have existed this entire time, but were classified for political reasons. We are educating the American public as we build through this transparency initiative. And where the investigation goes, I can assure you of this. We will max accountability for the American public.
And then you have Pam Bondi, smug, shit-eating grin of Pam Bondi. And then she's here basically saying, she's on Hannity. She's like, well, I can't talk to you about the specifics of a grand jury, Hannity, but we're looking into the crimes that have been committed on Russia. That's what we're focused on. That's what you're focused on right now. It is August 15th, 2025. When I'm recording this video, you're focused on making up fake things that happened in 2016 when a bipartisan Senate committee led by Marco Rubio, the senator at the time, who's now the Secretary of State, by the way, who's going to see the connections, who's going to be in the Putin meeting, said Russia did try to interfere with the 2016 election. Like, what the hell are you talking about? But here's Pam Bondi. Let's play it.
You know, I know you can't talk about very specific legal action that may be underway or a grand jury that may be impaneled. But we are reading that, in fact, a lot of the information that Tulsi Gabbard has been able to share with the public and make public, and the same with John Ratcliffe, that, in fact, there are people that purposely, my interpretation of it, seemingly trying to sabotage. I'll give you one example, the Russia hoax. We had a career senior intelligence assessment of the 2016 election. Then there was an order to go out and get another one because they didn't like the result of the first one. We know that the Hillary Clinton bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier was used for not one but 4 FISA warrants. And yet they knew very early on that it was debunked and not true. If you lie to a FISA court, as a matter of law, don't you have an obligation to go back and tell the court as soon as you know that information you provided that court was inaccurate and not true?
Yeah, Sean, I can't confirm or deny whether we have a grand jury, an open investigation on anyone, but the weaponization of our government has ended. And Tulsi Gabbard, John Ratcliffe, Kash Patel, they're doing a great job. And no one in this country is above the law.
All right. Now let me bring in Michael Wolff, Donald Trump's former biographer. As you know, Michael Wolff was potentially going to be a biographer for Jeffrey Epstein. Spent many days. He has hours and hours of audio recordings with Epstein. He spent a ton of time with Donald Trump as well. Michael Wolff did. Wolff has top level contacts at the White House. And Michael Wolff said, let's be clear. Here's why Donald Trump's meeting with Putin today. He's meeting with Putin because he's going to sell out Ukraine in order to make MAGA happy, because MAGA hates Ukraine because they've been brainwashed by Putin and Trump on this front. And then hopefully they forget about Epstein. And then you replace, once you sell out Ukraine, then you slip in there, Russia, and you make MAGA now focused on just saying that over and over and over again. It's a brainwashing technique. You repeat something over and over again. Then they focus on the release of those documents. Oh, Epstein. No, the Russia documents. Let's go find those. Is the deep state covering those up? They're so obvious in what they're doing. Donald Trump's connections with Epstein. Donald Trump's connections with Ghislaine. This is the plan playing out. Bring in Michael Wolff and our friends at the Daily Beast. Let's play it.
That is what he got to. I'm going to have to do Ukraine. So he had been trying to avoid that but I'm going to have to do it. Why am I going to have to do Ukraine? Because that's the give to MAGA.
So wait a minute. When you say do Ukraine, what do you mean? I know he's been promising that he could solve this war.
Well, that's what he, I mean, I think do Ukraine means give MAGA what it wants on Ukraine.
And what does MAGA want on this? America to pull out?
Yes.
America not to be involved in foreign wars. America
we want to give, yes. So in other words, he's going to sacrifice Ukraine for Epstein. Essentially,
he's going to sacrifice Ukraine.
This is in his mind a trade. It is the MAGA people who have pressed this Epstein issue constantly. I mean, they're the threat. It's not really the liberals who are the threat. It's the MAGA people. So he will trade out, and he knows, he understands how exposed he is on Epstein. So he will trade out for trade Epstein for Ukraine.
And you're getting this from exclusive conversations you've had with people in the White House.
Yes.
Switching gears for a moment to bring you some important news. The Trump administration is preparing to cancel $7 billion in solar energy grants aimed at helping low and middle income families go solar. That's right, $7 billion gone. This is just the latest escalation of the Trump regime's anti-climate agenda. The funding was part of President Biden's Solar for All program under the Inflation Reduction Act, designed not only to lower energy costs for working families, but to expand community solar projects, bringing clean power to renters and people who can't install panels themselves. Now, the EPA, under Trump, is drafting letters to revoke those funds from 60 nonprofits and state agencies, even in red states that had already started projects. As a reminder, red states disproportionately benefit from this funding. It would not only be bad for the environment to take it away, but also devastating for jobs. This comes on top of Trump's efforts to claw back $20 billion more in clean energy funding, triggering legal battles and chaos involving the DOJ, FBI, and Citibank, where the money is being held. And to top it off, experts say we don't even have enough electricity to meet future demand, especially with the rise of AI data centers. Slashing solar projects now doesn't just hurt the planet, it's a direct hit on energy security and working families and makes our country unprepared for the future. A lot of people have been saying lately that the climate is not a top issue. I could not disagree more, and I know that you all feel the same, so here's what I want you to do. Make your voice heard and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us what you think about this news and sound off with your thoughts on the climate. I'll be reading all of the comments. We're going to stay focused on climate issues here at MeidasTouch. Ben, back to you.
No, back to Kash Patel here. I'm connecting the dots. In a little bit, I'm going to show you Donald Trump call into Brian Kilmeade's radio show, and Trump talks about Epstein and Russia in the same discussion. But first, here's Kash Patel, and just listen to the words of what Kash Patel says. Let me read it to you first, then you'll hear it. As bad as the crime is, the corruption cover-up from senior government officials who were sworn to uphold their duties, they are the ones that violated the trust the most internally and need to be held accountable. You would think, oh, you must be talking about the fact that y'all have covered up the Epstein files and you are literally covering up a pedo sex trafficking ring right now and giving the convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell preferential treatment while screwing over the victims. More on the victims in a moment because they are haunting Donald Trump with their compelling media appearances. But this is what Kash Patel's saying. Here, play this clip.
Here's the beauty of it, Sean. You don't have to trust me or trust you. That's all, everything you recited, the summary you just gave, is years of excavating documents that these deep state actors held and buried and documented their own corruption because they were arrogant enough to think no one would ever find it, that Donald Trump would never become president and appoint a cabinet that would go in and investigate this matter thoroughly. And when you start connecting the dots, here's what I learned, Sean, when I ran the Russiagate investigation. As bad as the crime is, the corruption cover-up from senior government officials who are sworn to uphold their duties and accountability for the American public, they are the ones that violated that trust the most internally and need to be held accountable. So the people you've listed and the names you're calling out aren't surprises. Their names are on those documents. Those documents are public. The FISA is public. The 302s are public. The Strzok page texts are public. Documents are being released weekly by Johnny Ratcliffe and Tulsi, making it public. The burn bag information is coming out. The Durham Annex is coming out. The classified appendix is coming out. The American people are going to see and hear the names themselves, and they can touch and feel it. As far as what my investigators are going to do, these guys are the best in the business, and we've assembled a team of accountability, and we're going to deliver for the American people like never before, because that's what the American people elected Donald Trump to do.
All right, now back to Brian Kilmeade, the Fox state regime propagandist. Trump calls into his radio show, and then Trump's like, you know, Russia is just like this Epstein crap. It's all made up, Donald Trump says. So Trump tells you that actually they're both true. But this is what Donald Trump tells Kilmeade. To play this clip.
Putin, with all of his terrible track record, that's my view, not yours, perhaps, but that's in my words, with his terrible track record and with his horrible invasion that he did and what he does to his neighbors, he actually didn't infiltrate the election besides hacking John Podesta's emails. And you're saying it hurt U.S. relations throughout your 4 years.
They don't even know about John Podesta's emails. They had a couple of hackers who spent, in some cases, $50, $49.95, $101, and $103.
Right.
That's what they have. And these were hackers. These were people probably in Russia that took ads. They took ads for This had nothing to do with, frankly, Russia. It had nothing to do with me. No, they created a story. I remember when I saw it on one of the networks, they were saying after Hillary lost, this was going to be just a quick 1 day, 2 day excuse for why she lost. And the fake news picked it up and went with it. They do the same thing with the Epstein crap. They do the same exact thing. It's the exact same thing. Anything they can do to demean.
Okay, now, let me just play for you this clip where Donald Trump, just so we remember what went down in the 2016 campaign or in 2015 when Donald Trump spoke to Russia at a press conference. Russia, if you're listening, I need you to do this for me. Remember what Donald Trump said? Let's play this clip right here.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
And folks, the reality is what Donald Trump is doing today in Alaska with Putin, even talking about and considering giving Putin Ukraine's rare earth minerals that Trump coerced Ukraine to give to the United States. So Trump's going to take those minerals to offer them to Russia, potentially give natural resources from Alaska to Russia. He's speaking with Russia about doing a Israel-style occupation of Ukraine. That's what the Telegraph's reporting. Trump and Putin have already discussed a Gaza, West Bank, Israel occupation of Gaza and West Bank, but doing Russia in Ukraine. That's what the words they've used. Whatever you even say happened, and think about the worst thing that happened in 2016. Y'all are colluding right now. You're bringing Putin into enemy territory right before our eyes right now. A few other connections that I want to discuss right now. The Daily Mail has this exclusive where they say it's possible that Jeffrey Epstein was giving documents to Putin about the royal family and about potentially other people. The truth about Prince Andrew would bury the royal family. There were warnings that Epstein may have sold Prince Andrew's most intimate secrets to Putin, including videos. So that's an interesting thing. So was Epstein back channeling data to Putin? I don't know, but there's a data point there. Michael Wolff tells the story. Wolff was in Helsinki with Steve Bannon and Donald Trump because Wolff was Trump's biographer. And Wolff has a story where he talks about how Bannon says that Donald Trump's face when he left that meeting in Helsinki with Putin looked so destroyed, as though Putin just revealed all of the things he had on Donald Trump. I'm not saying that's what Putin did, but that's how Bannon was allegedly described, what Donald Trump's face looked like right there. There's one other big thing that's happening as well. Rolling Stone reports on it. Trump is saying how pissed off he is at the victims. I've reported how the DOJ is not speaking with the victims of Epstein, refusing to return their calls. Instead, they're focused on helping the sex trafficker, Ghislaine Maxwell, and the DOJ is attacking the victims. Quite literally the opposite of what the DOJ is supposed to do. But Trump is livid, and he's saying all of these Epstein victims must really be secret Democrats, and they're trying to undermine me. They're Democrats, and they're coming after me for political purposes, and that's what's happening, and all these people need to get off the air. Trump's White House says that's not true. That's not happening. That's another attempt by the failing Rolling Stone, they said. But it sounds like Donald Trump. It sure sounds like Donald Trump. Those are the layers right now of this conspiracy. So you see it play out before your eyes. Let me know what you think. But it's pretty obvious what's taking place, in my opinion. All my opinion. You have opinions. I have opinions. People have opinions. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.